So, just before we get into this week's podcast, our guest, Vanessa, at some point she says, "Oh, can you cut this bit out?" And then after the podcast, we talked about it, and she said, "Yeah, no, it's okay, add it in." So, just when you get to that bit and you go, "Oh, didn't the guys cut it out?" Nah, it's fine, it's fine. All right, on with the podcast.
Here we
Back in the
go.
room.
In the room. Back in the room.
Back in the room.
room.
Back in the room, Mr. Thompson. I'm excited. I'm excited to be in the room, Mr.
Yes.
T.
We're all excited.
We are. Well, let's just crack on because this is a
Yes.
guest episode. So we should, we should hasten our way.
Yes.
Let's go to a place.
Leave our audience hanging a little bit on who the guest is.
Well, it will be in the title of the podcast. So
yes,
it'll give it away. All right, so let's go to a place where the distractions are landmarks and detours are the main roads. Welcome to ADHDville. Oh, yes. You have a guest. I'm very excited. Yes, I am. I'm very excited.
TikTok.
I'm very excited.
ADHD. Hello, I'm Paul Thompson, apparently, and I was diagnosed absolutely with the combined ADH and the D about a year and a half-ish ago.
Blimey, that was choppy. And I'm Martin West, and I was diagnosed with combined ADHD in 2013. Exactly.
2013. So we're just two mates, Martin, just a reminder, who, by coincidence or not, in brackets, after 39 years of friendship, discovered that we're co-ADHDers. Who would have known it? Shocker. Absolute shocker. Flash news. Now, it's really important to say that this is an entertainment podcast about adult ADHD and does not substitute for individualized advice from qualified health professionals.
No.
So don't take any advice from him or me or him. Or him.
No, I say the or him, but you say any advice from him. And I say or him.
And, I was leading into my random, ADHD-ness. So we're just here as a kind of all-inclusive ADHD park bench with room for everyone, including your doppelgangers, your alter egos, your body doubles, your chaperones, and even your best buddies. Still here, congratulations, you've already earned yourself a loyalty badge. Then grab your jetpacks, your pedalos, your space hoppers, and any other transportation methods. And let us take you to ADHDville, an imaginary town that we've created in our minds, in our tiny little minds, where we like to explore different parts of the A, the D, the H, and the D again.
And we start off as we are now in the King's Attentive Head pub. But, Paul, let's jump into the tractor because I want to get myself to the coffee shop. So let me just, let's just bundle in.
Let's bundle in.
There. All right.
Okay.
Let me just get a round of drinks in. I feel like. Oh! I can see Vanessa.
Round of drinks, because here it's the evening. So I've got a little cheeky glass of rosé wine.
All right. Well, I've just seen.
I'm leaning into it.
Vanessa. And let's welcome our guest, Vanessa.
Hi, guys.
How you doing?
I'm very well, you?
We are splendid. We are splendid. Yeah, Paul was telling me earlier that he's leaning into being angry. So, he's kind of, you're kind of being like a little mini Hulk at the moment.
I am. I mean, like, I got to the point like, well, I was saying to Martin just before we came online, people like, if you've been with a psychologist for a while, maybe spend 2-3 years of them, and finally, a classic thing is like you admit that you're angry. But then what happens? What happens after that? Why not lean into the anger? I'm thinking.
Just be angry.
So like playing with that idea, see where it takes me. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Very nice. All right. So Vanessa, let's crack on.
Let's crack on.
Yeah. So tell me.
This is about you, Vanessa. We're kind of always interesting. Well, always interesting, fascinating, actually. How much? Okay, we're all part of the ADHD community, late diagnosed, but actually how different we are. So over to you, Vanessa. What's your story?
I'm going to try and be concise, which I'm sure we've all said the words long story short when it never is. But the intention is there for me to be succinct. It won't happen, but I will try. So my discovery of this diagnosis is quite different to a lot of my peers or a lot of us lot. Because before I went to school, my late mother taught me to read and write. So when I started school at 3.5, 4, I could already literally read a daily newspaper properly. I had a teenage, the reading age of a teenager. And so when I first started school and everybody else is learning the difference between curly cur and kicking cur, I was reading like The Hobbit. I was 5 years old reading The Hobbit. Everybody thought I was a genius and all this kind of stuff. So anyway, again, I'm going to try and be concise. But so I got thrown into the class with age 10-year-olds when I was 6 because I just could not be in any way occupied with 4 and 5 and 6-year-olds because for obvious reasons. So at school I was a genius. I was like gifted child. Everyone thought I was like top of the class and everything. But when I got home, I was a little shit. I was destructive, tantruming, poor emotional regulation, messy. I was just I was a proper arsehole at home, but at school I was like this golden child. So it never got picked up by the school system and everything. There were never any issue with behaviour at school because obviously I was occupied that I was getting my dopamine from being top of the class and everybody else thought I was amazing. So I got my dopamine through academics.
Yeah.
Anyway,
were you aware of when you went home? Were you aware of? I don't know. Just throwing it out there. Like you aware of being like an arsehole and not being in control of not being an arsehole?
No, I just found.
Is that more about reflection?
But when I look back, I've a bit of an arsehole. When I was a kid, I just didn't. I used to feel like, but I hadn't done anything wrong. I didn't see that anything of my behaviours were actually, I'm sure you can relate, intentionally bad behaviour. They just suddenly, my behaviour was not accepted by my parents, but I wasn't in control of my behaviour. I was just like a loose cannon all the time. But when I was about 8 or 9, I said to my mum, something's wrong with me. And she said, what do you mean? And I said, well, my brain don't work like the same as my friends. My mum were a nurse, but she would have been 75 this year. But she were an old school nurse.
That's really perceptive at that age.
And she said to me, what do you mean something's wrong? And I said, I think something's wrong with me. I'm not normal. And my mum said, don't talk bloody stupid. You're born idle, you make excuses. Go tidy your bedroom and this sort of a thing, right?
Okay.
And I used to say it like, because she were an old school nurse, she had no time for mental health or depression. She just thought, don't be so wet, get on with it. Head up, chest out, best foot forward, Yorkshire woman way, right? Even though she were a nurse.
That's so British, isn't it? Like, nothing going on here, carry on. Yeah.
And I continue to say this sporadically through my early childhood. And then I remember, this is quite funny actually, but you probably won't believe it is true, obviously. I remember once, my handwriting was terrible, it still is now. We had a conversation about this in the family home today. And she used to sit and make me do my homework like 13, 16, 18 times because it was illegible. But as you can imagine, it just got worse and worse and worse. Anyway, so she thought it were an act of rebellion, but I can't bloody write because my brain's going too quick to form a neat letter. I'm sure you can relate. Anyway, I am getting onto this. So I did all my GCSEs. So I kept on saying to my mum, like, something's wrong. And she said to me, I've heard enough now of this. She said, you're a gifted child. The hours I spent teaching you to read when you were 2 years old, I could properly read fully at 3.5. She's like, what a slap in the face. Stop this now. If you keep on saying stuff like this, you're going to end up in a lunatic asylum. Now, fast forward for a second, I did end up in a lunatic asylum a few times, but it wasn't because I thought that something was wrong. It's because something was bloody wrong, right? Anyway, so back to being like a kid. And then she used to say, procrastination's my main thing, and I'm sure it is for a lot of us. But even at the age of this 8, 9, 10, when I knew something was wrong, and I remember, this is totally honest, may God strike me, this is a true story. I rang Childline. If you obviously, I know you're both English, so you'll know what that is, but you don't even know if it's I rang Childline and said, hi, I've got a bit of a problem. And they're like, what's the problem? And I said, well, every time I look at my school book, like to do my homework, I just can't open the front cover. But once I do, I can do the work, it's easy, but I just can't open the page. And the person on the phone said, this is for children in danger. Speak to your mum and speak to your parents, and put the phone down on me, right?
Wow.
So I wanted to change and help myself and be better, but I cannot. My executive dysfunction is like on steroids, my executive dysfunction. But anyway, so then I kept on saying it and saying it.
Amazing the maturity of the insights you're having at that age. Incredible.
Right. Yeah, because I didn't know.
It's not common. You're the complete opposite of me. I kind of, listening to you, I envy you, right? I just thought I was as dumb as hell and gave in. You know?
Because I learned to read early as well. My mum, I wrote my first book when I was 8 years old. Obviously, it's not published or anything. I'm on my 9th adult book that I'm writing now, but of course, none of them are. 6 of them are finished. The other ones are all. But anyway, I'm digressing. What a surprise! So back to.
But is it? Sorry to interrupt you. But was there someone? If it wasn't your mum, was there someone that was offering you an alternative, like an aunt or a neighbour, say, "You have something, Vanessa." It's no.
I was
all by yourself.
I was just an arsehole. Then, so basically, my dad loves gadgets and stuff. My dad's totally ADHD, but he won't admit it, but he damn well is. Anyway, and my dad loves gadgets, right, and all this. So my dad always had to have the best stereo. So when people got the internet and laptops and desktops rather at home, we had a desktop computer when I was 16. So when I was 16, I don't think Google were a thing; it were a search engine, but it wasn't a thing. But anyway,
right.
I very quickly ascertained what the fuck were wrong with me because I was searching it on the internet. So for me, at the age of 16, I'm now 46. So I've known, I've known for 30 years that I'm effing ADHD, wall-to-wall ADHD, right?
Wow.
And no one would listen. So I went to my mum at 16, almost bawling, going, Mum, I know what's wrong with me. And she's like, I've told you before, I won't hear with this, now stop. So I said, I want to go to doctors and tell him this. Now, my mum was a practice nurse at our doctor's surgery. So I couldn't even go to the doctor privately and say, please help me, because she worked there. Anyway, I'm going to be quick about the next 30 years, and I am aware I'm taking over.
You don't have to be quick. Take as long as you like, whatever it takes.
So then I've really long story, really trying to be concise but failing already. There were many times from being 16 till 22 and 23 and 24 that I'm like, this is ADHD. Stop talking bloody stupid. It's all a myth. It don't even exist. You're making excuses. You're born idle. You're not organised. Find a place for everything, and you'll be able to find it. I went, the floor's a place for everything because I can see it all. She's like, no, Vanessa, you're scruffy. What kind of husband are you going to get? Look at you. You're a scruff bag. And I were a tomboy as a kid. So, but the thing is, this was really sad. And I started crying last night when I was telling my boyfriend about it, who, by the way, is also ADHD. But every single thing I ever did as a child, even though I was this gifted, very, very clever girl, I had to start. I quickly realised that if I said to my mum or my dad an idea or a story or whatever, the fact that I'd said it negated any value of it at all. So I used to say, tell little lies to my mum and dad for validation. I could say, Mum, my friend Louise made this story up today at school and it were X, Y, and Z, and they go, that's a brilliant idea. Why don't you ever think of those ideas? And it was my idea. So if these ideas were not mine, they were well received. But if anything with the fact that they were my ideas, everyone just wrote it off, and it really pissed me off, as you can imagine.
Yeah. It sounds like you're provoking your own stimulation, almost like provoking, the provoking people as a kind of stimulation.
Well, no, because I just
your dopamine. Almost.
I wanted to know that I knew my idea on my story, whatever it was, were good. But I knew if I said it was my idea, they would say it was shit. So I just would say it to someone else, and they'd say, that's really interesting, that. And I'd be like,
wow. No, I get it. That's amazing.
So then going through my adult life, I was massively overweight. When I was 10-year-old, I was a women's size 16, so I'm a size 12 now. So I was fat as fuck all my life. And of course, you're just greedy. You don't know when to stop. Now I know I craved dopamine through carbs and chocolate and fizzy drinks, but I didn't know that then. I was just a fatty.
Self-medicating.
Yeah. And I used to, anyway, so I'm trying to like jog along with this. But later, when I was getting married and stuff, I was saying to my mum, I'm definitely going to go to doctors. He'll laugh you out with there. You're a high achiever. You're very successful in business, because I'm actually a professional photographer by trade. And my degree's in photography and journalism. So she was like, they'll just laugh you out with there. And I'm like, Mum, people with ADHD, this is before we had a community or it were really out in the open. This would have been like 20, this would have been 25 years ago now. And my mum was like, she just wouldn't, it was just completely poo-pooed. Anyway, she kind of said to me, stop.
But your mum's a nurse, right?
She was a nurse. She's passed away now. She was a nursing sister, very high up.
Wow.
But she were old school and she were a general adult nurse. She didn't have time for any of this mental health stuff. You know, but anyway.
That generation, isn't it?
So I'll bring, so I was 16 when I knew, and I'm 46 now, and I got diagnosed last July. For the last 11 years, I've been waiting for the bloody diagnosis for all that time, and I've known since I was bloody 16. I feel a bit emotional saying this because you'll both probably relate to this, but so all them years, and in them 3 decades of my main years of my life, I have had fucking hell to live with. Like, my kids had to go live with the dad, suicidal ideation, drink, drugs, massive weight problem, abusive relationships, just absolute chaos, like Courtney Love from Yorkshire. And my husband cheated on. I've loads about everything that could go wrong did go wrong. And unfortunately, when my mum passed away, like, which was 12 years ago now, I went to my GP and I said to the doctor, like, listen, I know you've been my doctor since I was 3, and my mum won't let me come ever to you, and I've wanted to come for all these years, but I've got like something like I've said I think I've got every single symptom of ADHD that I've seen except 2, and I just won't admit them. And he said, well, what are the 2 that you don't have? And I said, wet in the bed and low self-esteem, but I was still fat. And I said, but if I'm pissed, I do wet the bed. Anyway, so basically, if you open the DSM on the ADHD page, it should have a picture of me going, hi, me again, or on some roller skates going around in a circle. So anyway, so all this time ago, 11 years ago, I got sent for a referral, and I only got assessed and diagnosed last July.
Wow.
However, another reason that my story is a bit different to everybody else's is because I research everything and I absorb information. I knew I needed medication, and basically, I have been sourcing methylphenidate and done the titration myself 3.5 years ago. And when I did that, my entire life changed. No more drugs. I'm clean of drugs. I've been clean of drugs for 4 years. I'm a year sober of alcohol next Tuesday. But only in me actually being medicated, sourcing it myself, titrating myself, that's when my life's changed. And I've had to do the diagnosis myself and the fucking medication myself, and even sourcing the medication, titration, all of it myself.
Wow.
And then after I've done all this, I'm on a Zoom's call with psychiatrist, doctor, whoever, who halfway through the thing says, I'll just quickly send you a form to fill in. And I went, no, I'm sorry, I've waited 11 years for this assessment. I need to be diagnosed now. And he went, I diagnosed you within 2 minutes of speaking to you. You're raging ADHD. So I burst out crying, and he said, like, what's... And I said, 3 decades of my life ruined, fucked. My kids have probably disordered because of my things, how I've dealt with things, my coping strategies. And it's taken you less than 2 minutes to diagnose me. And it's like, but I don't know if I'm really lucky, because for me, I'm like, fight till the last gasp, where there's a will, there's a way. But not everyone's got that like drive. And like, how many people are dead by this age because they just can't cope with life? Not many people source methylphenidate themselves and titrate properly and effectively without abusing it, and actually end up with a 6-figure business. The kids adore them, and everything in my life's perfect. But but I'm lucky, but I keep on thinking, like, how many kids have lost their parents to suicide, or how many mothers and fathers have lost their kids? And it's just because they never got the right medical attention or whatever. Yeah. And it's like, people, it's not just, look, here's a squirrel or an exorbitant spending. It's such a serious condition, but everyone just thinks it's a bit of a lark, don't they? It's not.
Oh yeah. There's like,
I kind of,
it's that it's that thing of like, what is ADHD? Oh, it's like losing your car keys and oh look, squirrel, right? That's kind of like sums up the whereas actually, to your point, it is, it goes way deeper than that. It's way bigger than that, and it's a lot darker than that. And it's not only your life that ends up being quite screwed up, but it's the people around you. If you're undiagnosed.
Also, our parents. I'm just thinking out loud here. Our parents are like only one generation away from the post World War II generation. And I don't know. My father, he's still around. By the way, I'm going to tell him I've got an appointment with him tomorrow to tell him I've got ADHD.
An appointment with your dad.
Set your watch. I have. That's how we are. Yeah. That's just how we are.
And you're going to tell your dad that you have ADHD after all these years?
I'll probably leave out the detail that 70% chance that I got it from him. I'm going to leave out that detail. But, I mean, that's the point. Right. That generation have a profound fear of anything that they don't understand.
Well, it's all sort of like you've just got to kind of stiff up a lip and ration books and that's was their attitude. I was bombed in the Blitz, etc.
Yes. Yeah. And I
remember the doodle bugs.
And it's like I kind of envy the people now that are diagnosed as 20-year-olds and 30-year-olds. And having, even with all the problems that are surrounding getting diagnosed and stuff, but at least there's a conversation out there about it. At the very least, it's a starting point, Right. Whereas for us, it's like nothingness, Yeah. Actually, a huge level of shame to actually even contemplate it. I think my father's going to react badly to it tomorrow, but we'll see.
Yeah, he'll be like, "What are you talking about, boy?"
Yes.
Blah, 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 blah. Shut up, boy.
And then, so after all that bloody tempestuous 3 decades of absolute utter chaos and upset and devastation, the fucking diagnosis I craved all my life, it means as much as my marriage, absolutely nothing, because it's just literally someone going, yeah, you were right all along. So it doesn't mean anything. I've titrated myself, and we're still waiting for titration from NHS. I've still sourced medication in my own sweet way. And it's not, I don't take amphetamine, I take actual medical prescribed methylphenidate. It's just not prescribed for me, but let's not advocate illegal gain of medication.
I never saw nothing, officer.
I never saw nothing. Yeah, it was.
In fact, I'm meeting my apothecary on Saturday night for a meal. Me and the boyfriend and her boyfriend, and she's, she's my apothecary. I like to call her.
Nice, such a nice word. I do like that word.
What word? Sorry.
Apothecary, drug dealer.
Apothecary. Okay, pusher.
Well, I don't know whether that is that the Italian.
In Italian, it's spacciatore.
All right. So I don't know if you know, but Paul lives in Italy and I live in New York, and
for some reason I thought you were in Canada. I don't know where I've got this from. I've been to New York. I live whereabouts in New York are you? You can't give your location, obviously, but
I'm about an hour's drive from Manhattan north.
I was there when I was there the year before Twin Towers for about 3 months in total, and but anyway.
Nice. So you're saying that you have all this kind of, sort of drive to kind of get, to kind of like find answers and to actually get yourself in a better place. Because I know that you go down the gym once in a while. I know
it's very occasionally these. I don't know if you saw it on TikTok, but I've recently had a load of plastic surgery, caught sepsis, and nearly lost my leg. Yes. So I've lost a lot of weight from that. Here's my scars from my bingo wingectomies.
There we go. For everyone on YouTube. Yes. Wow. Yes. So
I love that. Sorry to interrupt you, Martin. I love that you did that.
It's like,
We were
I'm going to do something.
It's like, it's like I've got scars.
Here we are.
Can I just add a little caveat into this conversation, Mac? I'll be really quick, I won't, but I'll just say I will to ease you in. But when I was 28 years old, I was 28 and a half stone. And I had a gastric bypass and I lost 15 stone. And then my husband ran off with a fat girl. She was lovely. Anyway, then I got fat again to try and get my husband back. Then I got fat again to try and get my husband back. It didn't work. Anyway, then I got thin again, fat again, thin again, fat again. And then recently, I've lost loads of weight. I've had my bingo wings cut off and my thigh bollocks cut off, which is the fatty bit at the top of your thighs. So I had all this done, came home from Turkey, went to the hospital. I nearly lost my leg in November from all this messing about.
I remember the whole hospital drama.
We did an episode.
I'm not showing you my thigh scars, lad. Sorry.
No, we did an episode once on ADHD tax, and you take the ADHD tax to a whole different level.
I'm always messing around like tattoos, dyeing my hair, now it's surgery, all fillers. I'm always fucking about with my appearance, but it's not low self-esteem or poor image. It's just a novelty, a factor of something new.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I did warn you that I was a million miles an hour, didn't I?
No, I love it. So like when I'm just kind of like processing the statement of my husband went out with a fat girl and she was lovely. It's funny. Like, so the link between like eating and ADHD, that kind of that dopamine thing. So I know someone close to me who is also on that kind of similar journey, ADHD, and she's on GLP-1s.
So am I. I'm on them now.
Oh, right. How are you finding the GLP-1s? So for this person, the whole kind of food noise thing kind of shuts down.
Yeah.
And for her, it's like she doesn't get the dopamine kind of hit from food. It's just not something that she wants anymore.
But same. I just forget to eat now. It's not. It's just a thing like. But for me, I stopped drinking a year ago next week. So 12 months sober. I don't take drugs. My boyfriend lives 100 miles away. And now I don't get dopamine from food. So I'm like dopamineless. I'm up the wall.
Wow.
Actually, I get my dopamine from work because I feel like I'm achieving things every single day in business. So thankfully, that's my reward system. Is another client. They've given me a compliment, praise. Never had it in my life because I've always been useless. So my clients love what I do. I make them a lot of money and I take a lot of time off their hands. So I found like my place and my purpose. It's to help other people who and also the irony is my mum wanted me to be a nurse. But in 1996, when I was 18, I wanted to take ecstasy, listen to Oasis, and going to doing nursing at uni was not rock and roll enough for me, which then led me to the photography and journalism, obviously. So in the end of it, I'm working for nurses. But yeah, so finally, like everything I do, it turns to gold in this industry. So all the years of me hearing a load of shit about me and this is all right, but you could have done better. Don't apply yourself. It's all negated now because I'm like, I don't want to say living my best life because young'uns say that, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, no. I mean, and it isn't for nothing that I've worked in the Paul has as well. We've worked in the creative advertising marketing world for our entire lives, and it's full of people with ADHD, full of them. Because that just seems to be like a kind of a career that just suits our brains.
Well, I was listening to another ADHD podcast last night, actually, and someone said something really interesting. He said he developed a career that, in hindsight, was clearly him self-medicating. So what I'm saying is Martin and I, and probably you as well, Vanessa, we somehow instinctively came upon or found a job that helped us self-medicate our ADHD.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it plugged some, plugged some holes and, made the cogs go round.
And it's funny because social media is quite good for those dopamine hits because it's a lot of small content that you make quite quickly and put out there, and you can see the likes and the shares and the stuff coming back. So it is a very it's a very ADHD friendly kind of area to be in. Like so.
Do you like Vanessa? Do you doom scroll?
I am doom scroll on legs, yeah.
Doom scroll now.
And something, I've had problems sleeping my entire life. I'm sure you can all relate. But if I've got these glasses that sometimes I want on TikTok, they're only like blue light glasses so I'm not overstimulated. But if I go off my phone at like 9 and I put my phone on the landing to charge and I get into bed, I sleep all night. Only if I'm medicated, I sleep all night long. If my phone's around, I'm too nosy. I want to know what's going on in the world. I don't have the time for sleeping. My brain doesn't want to sleep. And I think I don't think I've had a proper night's sleep since 1984, to be really honest with you. I think the last time I had a good kip, I think Duran Duran were doing in their heyday.
Right.
Oh no, you're just hungry like the wolf on your phone.
Last night went to bed. I thought
that's the first Duran Duran reference we've had in 74 episodes of our ADHD podcast, and I'm struggling with that.
Her name is
Duran Duran.
I don't even like Duran Duran. I don't know where that came from. It must be the ADHD.
How do you kick her off this podcast? Where's the
No, it's Martin that mentioned Duran Duran.
I love Duran Duran.
No, come on.
No. Vanessa brought up Duran Duran. I love Duran Duran.
Well, I do. They're a bit of cheese, but
I love how stylings.
I love how three ADHDers get together and a conversation goes. It doesn't go off in tangents. It goes off like fireworks and totally unpredictable. It's one of my favorite dopamine hits. Being amongst ADHDers, conversation, just wildly,
Well, I'm gonna kind of go, and I'm gonna say, okay, so when I got into music, it was like the late 70s, early 80s. I liked all the Depeche Mode and Duran Durans and all of that kind of music. And then, but my mates were into the 70s rock, the kind of the Led Zeppelin, the Metallicas, right? So then I absorbed that through them. So through them, I kind of got much more into the kind of older. I don't want to say classic rock, but I mean, I guess it is called classic rock. But I love all that now. I've
got a Duran Duran story. I was working for an agency in London, and they were commissioned to organise and communicate, do the marketing for a party for the new Sky Digital channel, right? And the party was at Battersea Power Station, right? When it was still, bricks and rubble and stuff like that. And Sky, they commissioned the agency to create a party in the middle of that, right? And so we're eating this, the stuff. There was a buffet. There was booze and drugs and blah blah blah. And at a certain point, they turned off all the lights, and they said, "Now you need to walk to the other corner of the Battersea Power Station." Okay, and they built a wooden like structures so you could get through over the mud and the puddles and stuff. And we walked over there. The lights came on. Duran Duran for a private party.
Like the wolf.
Yeah, and they were shit.
Oh, come on.
Yes, they were clearly paid too much. They were paid loads of money. They didn't give a damn. They just went through the motions. Anyway, Duran Duran story. Have you got a Duran Duran story with Vanessa?
Do you have a Led Zeppelin story? Come on, look.
I do have a Led Zeppelin story.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
Well, I've got a story about everything, as you probably gathered. But
Well, I thought you might.
when I was little, my dad, I was born in 78, right? So when I was like, my dad would listen to like Roxy music, Bowie, Ultravox, all this sort of stuff. But then there's always been an undertone of 70s rock and stuff. And then, so I actually liked Led Zeppelin when I was 3 and 4 years old. Do you know, it's been lifelong. And Bruce Springsteen's my absolute thing, but I'll tell you that another time. Anyway,
Right.
Led Zeppelin, when I was bigger, because I've obviously just recently lost I've lost 6 stone in a year this time, right?
No.
Right.
So I wanted to have tattoos, but I know that I don't want to look like a big butch lesbian with tattoos and a big fat arms. So I thought, well, I'll wait till I get my bingo wings cut off and then I'll have tattoos. So anyway, I had Bonzo, John Bonham, for the ones watching this who are uneducated and musical genius. So I had John Bonham, the picture is drumming, but the tattoo is that good that he's even got the motion of the stick, right? And I got it on my back and I thought, well, I can't even see it. I've got the best tattoo I've ever seen in my life and I can't see the damn thing. So then I thought, well, I need to get some other lot involved now. So then I got this bloody Robert Plant one. Then I had Mothership tattooed over the top of it because obviously, which is just a compilation album of theirs. But the reason I got the word mothership is I am the mothership of this family, and I didn't want my kids' names on me because I don't like that kind of a thing. Especially if they're called like Chardonnay and Mercedes. I didn't want to go down that road. So my kids are called Isaac and Isabel. They're not called Chardonnay and Mercedes, but you know what I mean. So I got mothership as to assert my authority on the children as well, right? But anyway, then I got bloody Percy here, and then I thought, well, what about the rest of it? So this is just like it's all. I've only had these tattoos done in September and October. They're new, but and then the boyfriend that I'm going out with now, I met him on TikTok, and he's ADHD to the high heavens as well. But I don't really want this to go. This bit can't go on air, so cut this bit out, right?
All right.
I actually fell in love with him over Led Zeppelin 1. I'll show you now. Right? Can this bit just be between us?
Yeah.
Yes.
If I fall out with him, then it's there forever, and I'll be like, oh, I wish I never said that now. Right, so because I had this done on my arm, which is that's the Hindenburg disaster off the Led Zeppelin front cover, right?
Yeah.
So I went to his house and he gave me the album in 12-inch vinyl, right? And it's there framed on my front room wall.
Right.
Anyway, then we went to IKEA about 6 weeks. I went out with him last summer, and then we fell out because I was doing this stoic thing of like, I come first, everyone can fuck off. It's my rules or no rules, and I wouldn't be nice. And I was a bit of a bitch. Anyway, we got back together this time, and then basically it was erecting that picture. Wrong word. He was placing that album cover on my wall, and as he was doing it, I thought, I think I love this bloke. And so anyway, a couple of weeks later, because I never say soppy shit because I've done all that crap and being like vulnerable, needy, separation anxiety. I'm over all that period in my life, right? Yeah. So I don't say I love you, baby, or any of this crap. It's not for me, right? Yeah. So anyway, he said, we're on about lovey-dovey shit, which I don't like to admit. And he said, when did you realise you were in love with me? I said, well, I don't want to say because it sounds like rehearsed. He goes, go on. And I went, it's when you put all Led Zeppelin album up on my front room wall. I saw you put it on and it was like, hallelujah moment. He went, you actually fell in love with me over a Led Zeppelin album? Yeah.
Wow.
Play Kashmir and turn it up.
Okay.
So that's my Led Zeppelin story.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice. Don't talk about romantic shit though. I don't like it.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
No.
Yeah.
Oh boy. So I mean, like alcohol. You know, alcohol back in the day. I mean, like you were talking about drink before, and like
booze.
I can remember. Did we talk about drink in the last episode, Paul? I seem to think that we did. Yeah, where you kind of like you kind of go through this period of your life where you kind of like, oh, I can now drink alcohol, and then you kind of go, oh, hang on a second, I used to feel awkward at parties and going out, but now I'm just like in the flow, and I can talk to people and have a good time.
Yeah,
and then it kind of like, and then you kind of then you end up having to rely on it to kind of like, have a social life.
And I think the problem is then you find other stimulants, don't you? And like if you find your stimulant, right,
the thing that works
and it can
for you,
go off in all kinds of, yeah. Yeah.
Well, I stopped drinking last March, and this is no word of a lie. When I got to about 16 weeks in, I was thinking, when were I last sober for this long? And I worked it out, and I've basically been pissed since 1995. Right?
Wow.
So now, at the age of 46, I've had to get to know sober Vanessa because she's never been here before. It's like she's just been born. Sober Vanessa, that
Right.
isn't a thing. I've had to get to know sober Vanessa.
Right. Yeah.
But the good thing is that when I did get diagnosed, and I said to him, I used to take amphetamine because I know what it is and it makes me normal. But I said, but I know it comes at a cost to your mental health, so I don't touch that. And I said, I've done every drug and and I said, I stopped drinking in March because I'm willing to try anything to just be normal and functional. I said, and I've included alcohol in the contraband things to try and be the best that I can. And I thought to myself, and the appointment was 7:45 in the morning on Zoom. But I was raging pisshead before this. And I used to drink 3-4 bottles of red wine a night on my own in the house. And that's why I've lost so much weight before the GLP. If I was drinking bloody 3,000 calories of bloody Malbec every night before I even had any food.
Wow.
Anyway, so if I'd not have stopped drinking, I probably would have just sacked off the diagnosis or been presented in a very different way. But because I was able to say, like, I've overcome a drug issue and I don't drink it, obviously, it doesn't need me to say that to get the diagnosis. But stopping drinking is the best thing I've ever done. It's in my life, stopping drinking.
I did that on a much lighter way. In fact, I'm hearing myself go into this story, and I'm kind of regret it, but I'm going to say it anyway because it is so pathetic compared to your story. I stopped drinking coffee when I started taking the ADHD meds, just so I would know, like when the effects of the ADHD meds came on, I wanted to be sure that it wasn't affected by anything else.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. It wasn't that I was, that caffeine was, having a bad effect. Okay, what I feel, I want to know more or less 100 as much as I could that's what the ADHD meds were doing or weren't doing. Is that what you're kind of getting at? Like
No,
you giving up alcohol and stuff?
no. So I've got like a catalogue, a back catalogue of errors and mistakes and catastrophe and calamity. That trail of destruction since 1978 has followed me, and it's most of it's my own poor choices and poor emotional regulation. But also, when I look back and pinpoint all the severe chaos, drink's always been involved, right?
Right.
So this week last year, which obviously I said I'm sober a year on next Tuesday, I went to Spain in January. I just got up one day, went to Spain, and I got steaming for a week. Right, and then I came home, and then I had a massive argument with my daughter. She's 18, and she said, I'm going to my dad's for a week. And I woke up at midnight. This is ADHD not in its finest, but a typical example of a chaotic brain in ADHD. I had this bloody RSD from my daughter because she said she was going to live at her dad's for a week. So I woke. I was drunk because it was a Monday, so it would have been a year ago yesterday. I got drunk because I went to my business partner's house. Monday were our drunken business meeting day, but we got a load of work done on them days, right? Anyway. Long story short, my daughter had to go with me and said, I'm off to my dad's. So I got RSD to the max and just went to sleep. When I woke up, I drank a bottle of wine and went to Manchester Airport at midnight, booked a flight to Spain on the way there, and then 4 hours later, I were in Spain. And when I was there, I were on TikTok making a whole show of myself live, threatening people, swearing, just being a horrible, uncouth creature, right? And then when I came home, and obviously my daughter had made friends with me, I came home, I thought to myself, like, you are a mother of 2 teenagers, and your daughter's looking at you to see like what women should be like, and your son's looking at you to see what kind of women he should go for, and you're behaving like some out of the young ones. You're not exactly the right good. I was behaving like Courtney Love. So I just thought, like, I've got to stop this stupid knobhead behaviour. I said to Bella, my daughter, I'm sorry for being a knobhead and I'm stopping drinking, and she went, yeah, right. And I haven't touched a drop since. But in that year of me not drinking, everything in my life is as normal as it could be. We know I'm ADHD, but I feel alcohol has exacerbated the symptoms all these years when I thought I need a drink to calm down on a night to shut all the noise.
Right.
When I've stopped
Right.
drinking, all the symptoms of ADHD have reduced, not fully, obviously.
Right.
So the alcohol and my ADHD don't go well at all.
So my caffeine anecdote at this point is sounding more and more fucking pointless.
Yeah, pointless, Paul.
Yeah, completely. Amazing. Yeah.
I know.
But in the end, what I'm hearing is in the end, you're really determined, though, when you want to be.
I will be, but I will say one thing, and I want every other ADHD to think about this, because we all don't think about this, right? So when you're growing up, whether you know you're ADHD or you're not, whenever you give a reason, not an excuse, but whenever you give a reason for why you've either not met a deadline or why you've not done something that's been expected of you, and then you say, if you ever mention ADHD in an excuse capacity, you're shot down in flames. No, it's your own fault. You just make excuses. But then when we do something good and we think outside the box and everything's, then we're expected to say, it's because I've got ADHD. No, if you've got to take accountability for the shit stuff, it's not ADHD credit that we do amazing things. It's because our brains, and we're in control of it, that we achieve excellence, but we're expected to then say it's because I'm ADHD. No, fuck you, ADHD. I'm taking the credit for this. Like, I've had to take the blame for all my shitty behaviour. I'm taking the credit for my business being like one of a kind and really well known in the industry. There's maybe a tinge of ADHD in it, but I'm taking the credit for that because I've had to be held accountable for my bad behaviour. And we all should remember that if you're going to take blame for what you've done wrong, then you have to also take ownership of the good stuff we do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well said.
Yeah. Well said. That's good.
I think
also, when people say you're making excuses, no, you're not. You're giving a reason. You're giving a reason why you've had a tantrum. It's not because you've got ADHD and you've got poor emotional regulation. It's not an excuse. It's a fucking scientific reason as to why you can't control your behaviour. It's not an excuse.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
Totally.
All right. Well, I'm just doing a time check, and I'm thinking.
Yeah.
That is a powerful ending. I thought, yes, this is good. So now I'm kind of thinking we ask every guest that comes on one question. So in ADHDville, of which we were the mayors and now we're the ex-mayors. It's a long story, but we invite everyone who comes on to kind of like to kind of plant a flag, to kind of open up a business or a place in ADHDville. It's
an activity even.
Yeah. So we've had guests have opened up secondhand bookstores. We've had
vinyl shop.
Yeah.
ADHD themed theme park.
Yep.
Tequila
tapas
bar
from your mate. Yeah. So where
what do you want to open up, Vanessa? What's your contribution?
I want an ADHDville musical instrument shop.
Oh, nice. Guitars.
Nice.
Think of all the dopamine in that shop that can be created.
Yeah, I love going into a
guitar
shop.
Just a quick fun fact: when I was because I was like a gifted child and I did all this bloody reading, I got thrown to peripatetic music class lessons for everybody to try and occupy me. And I've got I can play every single instrument in the brass and woodwind section of an orchestra, and I've got exams on a lot of them. But I can't quite grasp strings. I'm a bit of an arsehole on strings, but throw a clarinet or a sax. I'm a grade 6 saxophonist, and I did all this when I was even before I was 13 because they couldn't occupy me. I can play the oboe and the bassoon and the euphonium and the bloody tuba, if you want me to tell you the
truth. Nice.
I'd pay to see you with a kazoo.
Yeah. And then my son's recently got into playing bass, and I've been playing his bass. I've been telling him, put that down, I'm sick of hearing it. And then when he goes out of the room, I start.
I saw
in your music shop. Can we have music instrument shop? Can we have quite a large department just for percussion?
Yes.
Percussion. You want drums. You want a whole drum.
Yeah, I want bongos.
Drum room.
The
bongos.
Yeah.
All right. I do like. I always pictured myself as shop.
I used to go to the 100 Club in London of a Friday night, and I saw this guy who was doing this group did a kind of a Latin jazz vibe thing, and this guy bald kind of South American guy was playing the bongos. I've always wanted to be him.
All right.
I
I
wanted
was
to be
in that.
the
I was in the 100 Club maybe 20, 25 years ago, and I was there with my work people, and we were being loud and obnoxious. And
Yes.
then a guy came over and said,
Was it me?
No, it was a
Oh.
guy from the establishment who said, Arnold Schwarzenegger, who was on the next table over to us,
No.
is not happy and wants us to shut up.
Oh, really?
Oh, okay. If he's asking for us to shut up, then we'll just shut up.
Okay. I've got a similar
Advisable.
story. Just down, such a similar story. Just down the road from there is Ronnie Scott's jazz club.
That's what I meant. Sorry.
Oh, was it?
I meant Ronnie Scott's.
Okay.
It wasn't 100
I
Club, it was
went
Ronnie
in
Scott's.
there, and Elvis Costello's missus, Diana Krall, was playing. I arrived, and I was very, very drunk.
Very,
and I got asked to be quiet 3 times.
Yeah.
And I was a total nightmare.
Yeah, I've only been in Ronnie Scott's twice, and the second time the band on the stage stopped and asked that table over there to shut up.
No.
And that was us again.
Were you on that table? Oh, God.
Yes,
okay.
I was on the table.
The shame.
I'm sorry.
God.
I'm surprised. I won't ever be allowed in there again.
The irony for me is like about 10, 12 years later, I was mistaken twice in the same week for being Elvis Costello. People came out to me twice in the same week and asked if I was Elvis Costello.
I almost spat out my
kid
tea
you not. Yeah.
Have
that
Vanessa?
irony?
Have you ever been mistaken for someone? I mean, I know that my dad was mistaken for being Richard Attenborough, the actor. You know, the kind of the old school actor.
I haven't ever been mistaken for anybody, but when I was younger, people used to say that I looked like Cameron Diaz on steroids. When I was younger,
I can see that.
I'll take that. I used to say, "Where's my straighteners? My hair's gone curly. I look like Pat Butcher." But everyone used to say I look like a chubby Cameron Diaz when I was younger. Yeah, 20 years ago.
What are you doing to me, Pat?
At Glastonbury once, 2 girls came out to me and asked me for my autograph, convinced that I was Julian Lennon.
Julian Lennon?
Yeah.
Elvis Costello.
I said, no, I'm not Julian Lennon. Oh, come on. We know you're Julian Lennon. No, really, I'm not. Oh, come on. In the end, I had to sign something, breast. Like, I had to sign one of their breasts or something like that.
You poor thing.
I would have.
Yeah, I know.
If you had, I would have heard about it a lot earlier than now, Paul.
Really?
God. If you had. All right.
Yeah. All right.
Well, I think that just should we just kind of like slide into an outro? But before we get, is there anything else, Vanessa? I just want to check that there's nothing else that you wanted to kind of like say, or a point that we didn't kind of get to that you would like.
There is one thing I'd like to say. Is like, so every time that I presented to a GP or a psychiatric person, psychiatrist, through these 30 years of chaos, every time I presented to a doctor, this is the one thing that makes me want to be violent to the whole world. They would always write, "Patient believes she is ADHD." They gave me a misdiagnosis of bipolar, BP, all sorts, and every time I saw patient believes it. Anyway, so now obviously after 30 years of knowing, I did the job for her, and and even got me on medication. That sentence, "patient believes she's ADHD," haunts me to this day. That's all I want to say.
But that suggests you've asked to see your records.
I have.
Oh, okay. Because you can, right, legally see your records.
I've seen them.
Right. Okay.
They gave me a misdiagnosis of cyclothymia or cyclomythia, whichever it's called. It's like decaffeinated bipolar. I was diagnosed with BPD. I was diagnosed with BPD, CPTSD, and all. And I was like, listen, the symptoms are very similar behaviours. I'm bloody. And then they said, we think you're rapid cycling bipolar. I did the job for them for 30 years, and in the end of it, obviously, I've succeeded. But that's not the point, is it? What about people who are not so self-aware?
Yeah.
Totally.
Well,
I actually met someone, worked with someone this morning. She's 40, I think about 40. She has no idea. But not only does she not know about ADHD or autism, and it was so clear that she has a lot of problems with it. She doesn't know that she doesn't know. Like, she's so, I mean, it makes me want to cry. You know, it's really sad. Anyhow.
Thank you for having me, and I know that you've probably both got bleeding ear holes right now, but welcome to everybody's world that's in my life. I don't stop talking. I even talk in my sleep, and I am hyperverbal, and I just don't ever stop talking.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
No, it's a pleasure to have you on our podcast, Vanessa.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and you know, you can go and find Vanessa on TikTok. That's where you mostly hang out, right? Do you want me to kind of give your TikTok handle, or you?
So my name on TikTok is Wet Spaghetti, because I always say that an ADHD person's brain or thought process is like a bowl of wet spaghetti. The thoughts are all there, but you have to go around the others to get to them. And a neurotypical is like a packet of dry spaghetti. So that's my name on TikTok, is Wet Spaghetti.
Wet Spaghetti. Yeah. So how do you feel about that, Paul, being somewhat Italian?
Yeah. Oh, there's
a spaghetti, a bowl of spaghetti.
Italians can talk for hours about spaghetti. Yeah, spaghetti should be al dente, so it's like shouldn't be overcooked. Al dente, so it shouldn't be too wet. In other words.
All right, and what do Italians feel about when you break spaghetti in half? You know, like when you get dry spaghetti and then you kind of break it in half to fit it in the pan.
Yeah, you just don't do it.
They just don't do it.
Sacrilege.
Yeah. The weird thing about Italy is everyone has their favourite pasta, like really, and they have really strong opinions about the best pasta, as if it matters, like it really matters to them.
Farfalle. Right? I mean, to me, it's just different shapes of the same thing.
Yes,
but I feel like I'm being really uneducated when I say that. You know what I mean? I feel like
it is true and it's not true. It's like I once spent some time with a what the hell do you call them? A wine specialist.
Oh,
what do you call them?
A connoisseur,
yeah, but they don't. Anyway, she made me realise if you could drink a good red wine out of two different shaped glasses, and the taste is completely different. So I guess it's the same with pasta shapes.
All right,
putting it out there. Yeah.
All right. Well, in that case, I'm gonna hit that outro button. I'm just going to go and slide right out. I'm going to go and say that ADHDville is delivered fresh every Tuesday to all purveyors of fine podcasts. Please subscribe to the pod and rate us most magnificent, and feel free to correspond at will in the comments. But wait, there's more. If you want to see our beautiful, beautiful faces, and that's all of our faces today, which are beautiful, you can go and sally forth to the YouTubes, and you'll also find all of us on TikTok. And you can pick up a quill and email us at adhdville@gmail.com. But in the meantime, be fucking kind to yourself.
And I beseech you, fellow ADHDers, come here.
Come here.
Oh, screw that up. Anyway, I beseech you, fellow ADHDers, know thyself, sons of the hounds, come hither and get the flesh. Oh,
thanks, Vanessa.
Slick as ever. Bye, Vanessa. Thank you.
Oh, I hit the wrong button. I was supposed to hit.
There, says the mayor. That's that.